98 points. I want you to just sit with that number for a second. 98.
It's completely absurd.
Right. And then, just to make sure my feed wasn't glitching or something, another team puts up 91.
Yeah.
And a third team hits 90. I mean, I had to refresh the data 3 times this morning because I honestly thought I was looking at an NBA preseason box score.
You're not the only one.
But no. Welcome to week 7 of the 2040 college football season.
It is absolute chaos out there. I mean, I have been tracking collegiate athletics for decades, crunching the efficiency numbers, tracking the trends, and I can say with zero hyperbole, I have never seen a single weekend of offensive production like this.
Never.
We aren't just talking about a blowout or, a good day at the office. We are talking about a fundamental shift in the physics of the sport.
Exactly. Usually we come into these deep dives trying to find the nuance, right? Trying to dig out the hidden narrative in the trenches. But this week, the story is just screaming at us in neon lights. We have the Heisman race completely inverting itself, the playoff picture tying into a knot, and offensive records being shattered in ways that they don't even seem mathematically possible.
And that is our mission for this deep dive. We have a massive stack of source material today. Recaps, advanced box scores, the new Heisman watch lists, and the updated efficiency ranking snapshots.
It's a lot to get through.
It is.
Yeah.
We need to cut through the noise of these 90-point games and figure out what is actually real. Like, is this just elite teams bullying the weak for style points?
Right.
Or are we witnessing a new evolutionary step in offensive efficiency? Because right now, by my count anyway, we have 7 legitimate playoff threats.
7.
7. And the margin for error is officially dropped to 0.
Well, let's get right into it. We're calling this segment the Scoreboard Shock. And honestly, shock feels polite. We have to start with the headliner, USC versus Liberty. The final score was 98-14. USC dropped 98 points. Now, my first instinct when I saw that was, okay, they ran up the score, they kept the starters in. This is just unsportsmanlike.
Sure, that's the natural reaction.
Right. But looking at the snap counts and the play-by-play, that's not really what happened, is it?
No, and that's the terrifying part. If you look at 98 points and assume they ran 120 plays and were just throwing Hail Marys in the fourth quarter, you're missing the point.
So what was it?
Efficiency. Just terrifying efficiency. This was the power spread offense executed at a level we literally haven't seen before.
For the listeners who might hear power spread and just think, oh, it's just throwing the ball deep, let's break that down. Because I looked at the formation charts in our sources, and it's distinct. What are we actually seeing USC do here?
Okay, so the power spread, especially the variation USC is running in 2040, is about spacing the field horizontally.
Sideline to sideline.
Literally sideline to sideline. They force the defense to thin out. They stretch you so wide that you basically have to take linebackers out of the box.
Right, to cover the receivers.
Exactly. But then, instead of just throwing it, they run power concepts right down the middle. Guards pulling, tight ends trapping, right down the throat of that thinned-out defense.
That's brutal.
It forces a defense to choose. Do you put light bodies on the field to stop the pass or heavy bodies to stop the run?
And USC proved against Liberty that whatever you choose, you're wrong. I mean, the stat line for Arthur Vick, the USC quarterback, really backs that up. He threw for 386 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Which is a career day for most guys.
Exactly. But he did it with an 85% completion rate.
Yeah, that's the number.
That's the number that jumped out at me. 85%.
It's absurd for the volume of yards he put up. He wasn't just checking down to running backs for 2 yards. He averaged 16.1 yards per attempt.
Wow.
To put that in perspective, in a standard year, if a quarterback averages 10 yards per attempt, he's solidly in the Heisman conversation. Vick was averaging a first down and a half every single time the ball left his hand.
It really explains that quote from Vick in the postgame presser. The reporters asked him about the score differential, basically asking if they felt the need to pump the brakes. And he just looked dead at the camera and said, "We don't slow down, ever."
That is the mentality of a team that knows the playoff committee is watching. USC is sitting at 6-0, they are ranked number 2. And they know that in 2040, style points matter.
The metrics matter.
Exactly. They aren't just playing to win the game. They are playing to break the opponent's will and break the computer models. They suffocated Liberty with tempo. The defense never got a chance to substitute. They were tired, they were misaligned, and Vic just picked them apart.
But USC wasn't an anomaly. That's the wild part to me. If it was just one game, we'd call it a fluke. But we have to talk about Wisconsin.
Oh, Wisconsin.
They are ranked number 7, sitting at 5-1, and they played Illinois, a Big Ten conference game. And the final score was 91-17.
This was the Terrence Bettis show, and I'm so glad we're talking about him because earlier in the season, remember the narrative.
Oh, yeah. Bettis is inconsistent.
Bettis gets rattled in the pocket. He holds the ball too long.
He can't make the second read. I remember the headlines vividly. He was just getting hammered by the press.
Well, against Illinois, Terrence Bettis looked like he was playing a video game on rookie mode. He silenced everyone.
Video game's really the only way to describe it. I'm looking at the box score here. 568 passing yards. 9 touchdowns.
9.
0 interceptions. 9 touchdowns in a single game. I don't care who you are playing. That requires a level of focus that is incredibly hard to maintain for 60 minutes. You usually see a guy lose concentration once they go up by 40 points.
It's historic, but context is king here. Wisconsin needed this. They had that one loss on their record. They were sliding down the polls.
Right.
This performance wasn't just about beating Illinois. It was a message to the committee that Wisconsin has the firepower to keep up with USC. They are shouting, "Look at us. We can score 92."
Bettis certainly thinks so. He was quoted saying, "They said I slipped. I heard it."
Talk about Heisman-level vengeance.
Seriously. It feels like he took every piece of criticism from the last 3 weeks and just took it out on the Illinois secondary.
And that's what makes this week so pivotal. You have these quarterbacks, Vic and Bettis, who are not just putting up numbers. They're answering their critics with exclamation points. Wisconsin looked dangerous because they finally found that vertical passing game to complement their running style. If Bettis plays like this, there isn't a defense in the country that can stop them.
And just to round out the absurdity, we can't forget North Carolina. They beat Florida Atlantic 90-3. So that's 3 teams, USC, Wisconsin, UNC, all hitting the 90-point mark or knocking on the door in the exact same afternoon.
It raises a massive question about the state of defense in college football, which I know we want to touch on later. But from an offensive standpoint, it tells me that the gap between the elite haves and the have-nots is widening.
Significantly.
When these top-tier systems click, with the athletes they have in space, they are essentially unstoppable unless you have elite talent on the other side to match them.
So here is the paradox. We have quarterbacks throwing for 400 or 500 yards. We have teams scoring 90 points. Logic dictates that a quarterback should be locked in as the Heisman frontrunner.
Right.
It should be Vic or Bettis, right? That's how the award usually works.
You would definitely think so. Conventional wisdom says the quarterback on the best offense wins the trophy. But this is where Week 7 threw us a massive curveball.
Let's move to our next segment, the Heisman shakeup. Because according to the latest watch list from our sources, the #1 player in the country isn't a quarterback.
No, it's not.
It's a wide receiver.
Ronda Rock-Roos from Coastal Carolina.
Yep.
And if you're scratching your head wondering how a receiver from the Sun Belt is leading the Heisman race over a USC quarterback, you just have to look at the tape from the Clemson game.
Coastal Carolina played Clemson. Clemson at Clemson in Death Valley. And they won 62-7.
Unbelievable.
That score alone is a headline. But Roos, he was a monster.
11 catches, 244 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And we need to clarify the contested specialist label attached to him in the scouting reports.
Yeah, please define that for us, because usually when I hear contested specialist, I think of a big, slow tight end type who just jumps high in the red zone.
Right. Usually it means a possession receiver who relies on size because they can't actually get separation. But Roos is completely breaking that archetype. He is winning those jump balls, the 50-50 balls, but he's doing it 40 yards downfield.
Right.
He is taking the top off the defense and physically dominating the cornerbacks at the catch point. He's not just open, he's open even when he's covered.
The source text describes him as dominant, explosive, and undefeated when he goes nuclear. I love that phrasing, when he goes nuclear.
It is perfectly.
It really feels like the Heisman voters are rewarding that pure dominance. It's rare to see a receiver lead the race this late in the season. Usually there's a bias against them because they rely on the quarterback to get them the ball.
That's true. The old argument is always he can't be the most valuable player because he can't throw the ball to himself.
Exactly.
But Roos is the absolute engine of that Coastal Carolina offense. He is the reason they are 5-1 and sitting at number 6 in the polls. When Clemson, a team with blue-chip defensive recruits, keyed in on him, he still put up 244 yards. He's making a case that he's the most unguardable weapon in the nation, period.
But he's got some serious competition chasing him, and the contrast in styles couldn't be starker. Sitting at number 2 is Jamal Lewis III from Tennessee. Now, Tennessee went into Athens, which is a terrifying place to play, and beat Georgia 49-27.
That was a massive statement game for Tennessee. And Jamal Lewis III is the exact antithesis of the air raid fireworks we saw from USC or Wisconsin.
Yeah, totally different game.
He isn't throwing for 500 yards. He is a grinder. The source actually calls him the most consistent weapon in America.
I love his quote from the locker room. He said, "We don't flinch on the road. We travel with defense and a run game."
It feels very old school.
It does. In a week where everyone else is playing basketball on turf, Lewis is playing physical championship-style football.
And that contrast actually helps him with the voters. While everyone else is putting up video game stats that might look a little inflated, Lewis is going into the SEC gauntlet and physically beating down Georgia. He controls the clock. He wears defenses down.
Right.
In a chaotic season where teams are scoring 90, there is something incredibly comforting to voters about a guy who guarantees you 4 yards, then 6 yards, then a touchdown. Tennessee is 6-1, trending back toward the playoffs, and Lewis is the rock they're leaning on.
And then at number 3, we have Barry Allen from LSU. Now, talk about a hybrid threat. LSU shut out Arkansas 56-0, and Allen was literally everywhere.
He is the definition of a modern offensive weapon. We used to call these guys slash players, running back slash receiver, but Allen has perfected it. Against Arkansas, he had 9 carries for 58 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. But then he added 12 catches for 138 yards and 2 more touchdowns through the air, 4 total touchdowns.
He said, "I line up anywhere. Backfield, slot, wide. Just get me the ball." I feel like that versatility is becoming so valuable in 2040. How does a defensive coordinator even game plan for a guy like that? I mean, what do you even call the personnel package?
You can't really plan for it. That's the problem. If you put a linebacker on him, he moves to the slot and runs a go route, blowing past the linebacker.
Right.
If you put a defensive back on him, he goes to the backfield and runs a power play, running right over the smaller guy. By the time the defense identifies where he is, the ball is snapped. So you have 3 very different archetypes at the top of the Heisman race. The explosive deep threat receiver in Roos, the consistent power runner in Lewis, and the Swiss Army knife in Allen.
It's a fascinating race. And just briefly, the trends show Keegan Willis from UNC climbing quietly after that 90-point explosion, while Carlos Bland from Tennessee dropped a bit after a quieter week. It's shifting week to week, but right now, it is a wide receiver's trophy to lose.
Which is a storyline we haven't seen in a very long time.
Okay, so we've got the scores, we've got the players, but let's talk about the teams. Specifically, let's talk about the Big 12, because there is a massive power struggle happening there, and it's completely shaken up the top of the polls.
This is the most fascinating narrative in the rankings right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about the SEC or the Big 10, but if you look at the top 25 media poll, we have a new number 1.
Yep.
West Virginia.
The Mountaineers. They are 6 up, and the stats backing this up are insane. They have a plus 143-point differential. But what jumped out at me from the source material was the ratings. The computer models are absolutely in love with this team.
Yes, the overall ratings. They are sitting at a 99 overall.
Wow.
That means 99 offense and 99 defense. Essentially, the computer models view them as a perfect team right now.
That is heavy. A 99 defense in a year where teams are scoring 90 points. That has to be the difference maker. They run that power spread system, same as some other top teams, but they seem to be controlling the tempo on both sides of the ball. It's not just scoring fast, it's stopping the other guy from scoring at all.
But here's the conflict. They are number 1 in the polls, but they have a massive challenger right in their own conference. Oklahoma State is sitting at number 3. And you could easily argue they're playing even better football.
They are 7-0. And get this, their point differential is plus 178. That's significantly higher than West Virginia's.
And their average margin of victory is 25.4 points. They aren't just winning, they are blowing teams out by 4 scores on average. So you have the number 1 team in the country and the number 3 team in the country, both undefeated, both in the Big 12 on a complete collision course.
The narrative here suggests that the Big 12 title, and probably the number 1 overall seed in the playoff, runs straight through Morgantown. It feels like the entire season is going to hinge on when these two teams meet.
It absolutely will. Yeah. This is the new rivalry of the 2040s. And don't look now, but Michigan State is sitting there at number 4, also 6-0.
Yeah.
Tennessee is back up to number 5. Coastal Carolina is number 6. We have 7 teams with a legitimate claim to a playoff spot right now.
It's the closest the field has been all year. Usually by week 7, you have 2 or 3 juggernauts and everyone else is just fighting for scraps. This year, any of those top 7 could win it all.
And what distinguishes West Virginia and Oklahoma State is that balance. We talked about USC's offense, but West Virginia having that 99 defense rating, that might be the tiebreaker when push comes to shove. If everyone can score 50, the team that can hold the opponent to 40 wins.
Speaking of defense, I know. We spent the first half of this deep dive obsessing over 98 points and 91 points. It feels like defense has left the building, but you found some nuggets in the sources that prove defense isn't dead quite yet.
It's not dead, but it's certainly under siege. In a week defined by offense, the teams that actually played defense stood out even more. We have to go back to that LSU game.
The shutout. LSU 56, Arkansas 0.
To hold a conference opponent to 0 points in 2040 is basically a miracle. The rules are designed to help the offense. The clock stops less, the hash marks are wider, everything favors scoring. But look at the underlying numbers. They held Arkansas to 171 total yards.
That is nothing. That's barely 2 drives for USC.
And just 3.2 yards per play. That is absolute suffocation. While USC and Wisconsin are winning track meets, LSU is winning a wrestling match. They completely removed Arkansas's ability to move the ball. They controlled the line of scrimmage. They tackled well in space, and they didn't give up the big play.
That feels sustainable, doesn't it? Like, an offense can have an off day. Maybe it rains. Maybe the quarterback wakes up with the flu. But a defense like that travels.
Exactly. Barry Allen got the headlines for his 4 touchdowns, but the defense was the reason that game was over by halftime. If you can replicate that performance against a team like Tennessee or West Virginia, you become a total nightmare to play against.
And we really have to give a shout out to the Defensive Player of the Week. Because in the midst of UNC scoring 90 points, there was a guy on their defense putting up a stat line that honestly looks like a typo. Kayvon Guy.
This was incredible. You usually ignore defensive stats in a 90-3 game, but Kayvon Guy had 14 tackles. That's a great game by itself. But he also had an interception and 2 forced fumbles. And he scored a touchdown.
He scored a touchdown. So in a 90-3 blowout, the defense was getting in on the scoring too.
It was a complete defensive performance. He was a one-man wrecking crew. And it highlights something really important for you listening. When you see a score like 90-3, yes, the offense was great, but the defense had to get the ball back to them that many times. Kayvon Guy was creating turnovers, giving his offense short fields, and even scoring himself. That is how you get to 90 points. It's complementary football.
It brings up an interesting theory. In this era of hyper-offense, is the defensive playmaker actually the most valuable asset?
I think so. Look at the top teams. West Virginia with a 99 defense, LSU with a shutout, even Tennessee traveling to Georgia relied on defense and a run game. The teams that can combine explosive scoring with the ability to get just 3 or 4 key stops a game, those are the ones who will survive the playoff. You don't need to shut everyone out, but you need a Kayvon Guy who can get you the ball back.
So let's recap the main takeaways from this chaotic Week 7 deep dive. First, the scoreboard is broken. 98, 91, 90 points. Offenses have gone nuclear, driven by terrifying efficiency and the power spread. Second, the Heisman race is officially a wide receivers to lose, with Ron Drews shattering records at Coastal Carolina, though Jamal Lewis III is chasing him down hard.
And third, the Big 12 is the center of the college football universe right now. West Virginia and Oklahoma State are the 2 heavyweights, and their collision is going to shape the entire playoff bracket.
And looking ahead, the storylines are just getting better. We have USC versus Georgia looming on the schedule. That is going to be a massive test for that USC power spread against a team that just got embarrassed by Tennessee. They are going to be angry.
Oh, definitely. And we have that West Virginia versus Oklahoma State matchup down the road. That is the game of the year. That is the one everyone needs to circle on their calendar right now.
And I'm still watching Coastal Carolina. Can they sustain this? They beat Clemson, sure.
Yeah.
But can a team from the Sun Belt led by a receiver really crack the playoff and make noise?
With a physical defense and Roos playing like this, I wouldn't bet against them. But the pressure is on now. One slip up, and they are out. The novelty wears off fast if you lose.
Here is a thought to leave you with as we wrap up. We just saw 3 teams score over 90 points in a single weekend. We are seeing completion percentages of 85% from quarterbacks. Have offensive schemes finally solved the game of football? Have we reached a point where the rules heavily favor the offense so much that defense is just about damage control? Or are we just seeing a historic gap between the elite talent and everyone else?
That is the million-dollar question. Is it the system or is it the players? I have a feeling we'll find out when these top teams finally have to play each other in the postseason, and we see if a 99 defense can really stop a 98-point offense.
I can't wait. Check the box scores yourselves, because you really have to see it to believe it.
We'll be back next time to break down whatever madness Week 8 brings. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.
Take care.